Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance watching the stars through the main screen. The ship moved slowly through space near a system called Kepler 442. His crew of 200 people worked quietly at their stations. They had been out here for 3 months doing research and mapping new worlds. Dr. Lisa Carter walked up to Jake, holding a datapad. She looked worried about something. Lisa was the ship's best scientist who studied alien life. She had been tracking strange energy readings from the third planet in this system for the past week. "Captain, those energy patterns are getting stronger," Lisa said. "I have never seen anything like this before. The readings show massive power sources, but they keep moving around the planet." Jake looked at the data on her pad. The numbers made no sense to him, but he trusted Lisa's knowledge. She had discovered 3 new forms of life on their journey. If she was worried, then he should pay attention. "Could it be some kind of natural phenomenon?" Jake asked. "No, sir. These patterns are too organized, too controlled. I think we might be looking at technology," Lisa replied, before Jake could respond. The ship's communication officer called out from his station. Lieutenant Dan Rogers had served with Jake for 5 years. His voice now carried a tone Jake had never heard before. "Captain, we have multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace." "They are big, sir, really big." The main screen changed to show the tactical display. Jake watched as 12 massive ships appeared in the system. Each one was at least 3 times larger than the Defiance. They had a dark metallic color and strange angular shapes. These ships looked nothing like human vessels. "Alien ships," Jake said quietly. "After all these years of searching, we finally found them." The communication system suddenly activated without any input from the crew. A harsh voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English. "Attention, human vessel. I am War Prime Zethruck of the Hegemony. Your species has entered space claimed by superior beings. You will submit to Hegemony rule or face complete extermination." Jake felt his blood go cold. These aliens were not here for a peaceful first contact. He stepped forward toward the communication console. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defiance. We come in peace seeking friendship between our peoples. We mean no harm to you or your territory." The alien voice came back even harsher than before. "Peace is weakness. Friendship is for inferior species. You humans are soft mammals unfit for galactic dominance. I will demonstrate the power of the Hegemony." 3 of the alien ships moved toward the human mining stations in the outer system. Jake watched in horror as beams of purple energy struck the stations. The mining platforms did not just explode. They seemed to dissolve at a molecular level until nothing remained but empty space. "My God," Lisa whispered. "They turned matter into energy." "Complete molecular disruption," the alien voice returned. "Those stations contain no life forms. Consider it a mercy. Your species has 1 rotation of this system's star to surrender. Completely. If you refuse, we will cleanse every human world of biological material. You will feed our expansion as 17 other species have done." Jake's mind raced. This was first contact, but not the kind humanity had hoped for. These aliens saw humans as nothing more than resources to be consumed. He had to get word back to Earth immediately. "Lieutenant Rogers, prepare a quantum burst transmission to Earth Command. Priority Alpha Protocol," Jake ordered. "Yes, sir." "What message should I send?" "Tell them we have made contact with a hostile alien species called the Hegemony. They have superior weapons and have demanded our complete surrender. They intend to exterminate humanity if we refuse. Send all our sensor data on their ships and weapons." Rogers worked quickly at his station. The quantum burst system would send the message faster than any other form of communication. It would reach Earth in hours instead of weeks. "Message ready." "For transmission, sir. Send it now." The transmission launched just as the Hegemony ships began moving toward the Defiance. Jake knew his ship could not fight these massive vessels. His weapons were designed for scientific research and asteroid mining. The aliens had technology that could dissolve matter itself. "Captain, they are targeting us with some kind of beam," called out the tactical officer. All hands prepare for emergency procedures. Lisa, get to the escape pods with the scientific data. Make sure Earth gets your research on their technology. I am not leaving the bridge, Captain. That is an order, Doctor. Your knowledge might save our species. Lisa reluctantly left the bridge as the alien beam struck the Defiance. Jake felt the ship's systems begin to fail. The lights flickered and the gravity fluctuated. But the ship did not dissolve like the mining stations. Instead, it seemed to be caught in some kind of energy field. They are not destroying us, Rogers said. The beam is disabling our systems. Jake realized the aliens wanted to capture his ship and crew. They probably wanted to study human technology and biology. He would not let that happen. All crew to escape pods immediately. Set the ship's reactor for overload. Captain, that will destroy everything within 50 kilometers. Better than letting them learn about humanity from our ship. The crew moved quickly to the escape pods while Jake worked at the reactor controls. The hegemony ships moved closer, expecting to board a disabled vessel. They would instead find a ship turned into a weapon. Jake reached the last escape pod as the reactor reached critical levels. Through the small window, he could see the alien ships surrounding the Defiance. In a few minutes, they would learn that humans did not surrender easily. The explosion lit up the dark space like a small star. One of the smaller hegemony ships was caught in the blast and heavily damaged. The others pulled back to a safe distance. Jake's escape pod tumbled through space with the other survivors. War Prime Zethrak's voice came through their emergency radios. Clever mammals. You choose destruction over capture. This changes nothing. Your world will burn and your species will feed our growth. The hegemony has never been defeated. Jake looked at his crew and the other pods floating nearby. 37 people had survived out of 200. Lisa's pod was among them, along with several other key officers. They had saved the most important thing, though. The message to Earth was already traveling through space, carrying warning of humanity's first and possibly last encounter with alien life. As the hegemony ships moved toward human space, Jake wondered if his warning would be enough. Could Earth prepare for an enemy with such advanced weapons? Would humanity choose to fight or surrender when faced with extinction? He had a feeling he already knew the answer. Humans had never been good at giving up when their backs were against the wall. The aliens were about to learn something important about the species they had just threatened with extinction. War Prime Zethrak had made the biggest mistake in hegemony history. He had given humanity time to prepare and a reason to fight. Jake smiled grimly as he watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace heading toward Earth. The hegemony thought they were heading toward an easy conquest. Instead, they were flying toward the awakening of something they had never encountered before. They were about to meet humanity's survival instinct. Admiral Kate Sullivan walked into the United Earth Council chamber in Geneva 3 weeks after receiving Captain Morrison's message. The large room fell completely silent as she approached the speaker's podium. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat waiting to hear what humanity was facing. Kate had served in the military for 30 years. She had fought in 3 wars and commanded fleets across the solar system. Nothing in her experience had prepared her for this moment. She was about to tell the human race that their greatest fear had come true. Members of the Council, Kate began, 17 human colonies have been attacked in the past 21 days. The death toll stands at 2.3 million civilians. Another 800,000 people are missing and presumed captured. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Representatives demanded to know how this was possible. Who could attack so many worlds so quickly? Kate waited for the noise to die down before continuing. The attacks were carried out by an alien species calling itself the hegemony. They possess technology far beyond our current capabilities. Their weapons can dissolve matter at the molecular level. Their ships are massive and heavily armored. They have given humanity an ultimatum. Kate paused and looked around the room at faces filled with fear and anger. Complete surrender within 30 days or they will, quote, cleanse every human world of biological material, end quote. They intend to harvest our entire species to fuel their expansion across the galaxy. Dr. Alex Rodriguez stood up from his seat in the observer section. Alex was Earth's leading military strategist and had been working around the clock since the first attacks. His usually neat appearance looked disheveled from lack of sleep. Admiral Sullivan, what recommendations does Earth Command have for responding to this threat? Kate smiled grimly. Dr. Rodriguez, perhaps you should explain what we have been preparing while the Council has been debating. Alex walked to the front of the chamber and activated the large display screen. Images of massive construction projects appeared showing shipyards and factories working at impossible speed. Ladies and gentlemen, while you have been discussing diplomatic options, Earth's industrial capacity has shifted into Wartime Protocol 7. Every available resource is being converted to military production. We are not preparing a defense. We are preparing something else entirely. The screen showed production numbers that seemed impossible. Thousands of new ships under construction. Weapons factories running at full capacity. Mining operations expanded to strip entire asteroids. This is the largest military buildup in human history, Alex continued. But we are not fighting a conventional war. We are implementing total species warfare. Every human settlement, every ship, every station becomes part of a single coordinated response. Colonel Maya Thompson entered the chamber wearing full battle armor. Maya was a veteran of the Martian Independence War and commanded Earth's elite special forces. She had been recalled from the outer colonies when the attacks began. The strategy is simple, Maya announced. We do not negotiate with extinction, we prevent it. Kate nodded and returned to the podium. The hegemony believes they are dealing with a typical new species. They expect us to either surrender immediately or fight a brief defensive war before capitulating. They are about to discover how wrong they are. The screen changed to show tactical displays of hegemony ship movements. Their forces were moving slowly through human space, taking their time to destroy or capture colonies. They showed no urgency or concern about human resistance. Intelligence suggests they have done this to dozens of species before us, Kate explained. Their standard procedure is to demand surrender, demonstrate their power, then harvest the target species for biological resources. It has worked for them across 17 star systems. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward again. The hegemony's previous victories have created a dangerous weakness. They have never faced a species that fights with the desperation of the truly cornered. To them, war is conquest. To us, this war is survival. Commander Rick Davis appeared on the main screen via transmission from deep space. Rick was leading a dangerous mission to rescue survivors from the attacked colonies. His ship, the UES Ranger, had been dodging hegemony patrols for 2 weeks. Admiral, we have recovered 347 survivors from the Proxima Centauri colony. The hegemony did not just attack the settlement. They processed everything organic on the planet. Trees, grass, bacteria, everything was harvested. Rick's image showed the strain of what he had seen. We also rescued engineer Amy Foster and her 2 children from the orbital station. She managed to record the entire harvesting process. The hegemony uses the biological material to create some kind of growth medium for their technology. Amy Foster appeared next to Rick on the screen. She looked exhausted but determined. They treat living beings like we treat petroleum, a resource to be extracted and consumed. I watched them drain the oceans and strip the forests. Nothing was left alive. Kate felt the weight of Amy's words settle over the chamber. The hegemony was not just an invading army. They were a force of extinction that consumed entire worlds. This confirms our intelligence from other sources, Kate said. The hegemony represents an extinction-level threat to all life in the galaxy. Surrender is not an option because surrender means consumption. Maya stepped forward and activated her personal communicator. All unit commanders report status. Voices began responding from across human space. Military leaders reported from Mars, the asteroid belt, the outer colonies, and deep space installations. Every human military asset was coordinating for the first time in history. Admiral, all forces report ready for Operation Survival, Maya. Announced. Alex brought up new displays showing the scale of humanity's response. The hegemony believes they are facing a primitive species with basic weapons. Instead, they will encounter something that has never existed before: a fully militarized spacefaring civilization. The screen showed converted civilian ships armed with military weapons, cargo vessels turned into troop transports, mining ships equipped with military-grade sensors. Every aspect of human space infrastructure had been transformed for war. "We are not just building an army," Kate explained. "We are becoming one. Every human in space now serves the war effort. Every resource is directed toward a single goal." Foster spoke again from the rescue ship. "Admiral, what is the goal? What are we trying to achieve?" Kate looked directly at the screen, and her voice carried a tone that sent chills through everyone listening. "Complete neutralization of the extinction threat. The hegemony has harvested dozens of species. They have turned entire worlds into biological fuel. They consider all other life forms to be nothing more than resources for their expansion." She paused and looked around the chamber at representatives who were beginning to understand the magnitude of humanity's response. "We are going to teach them that some species fight back. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten humans with extinction. We are going to solve the hegemony problem permanently." Dr. Rodriguez nodded grimly. "The first phase begins immediately. Commander Davis and his rescue teams will continue recovering survivors while gathering intelligence on hegemony technology. Colonel Thompson's special forces will begin hit-and-run attacks on their supply lines." Maya smiled coldly. "We will not fight them like they expect. No honorable battles or negotiated surrenders. We will hunt them like the predators they are." Kate made the final announcement that would define humanity's future. "The hegemony believes they are harvesting another primitive species. Instead, they have awakened something they have never encountered. They have threatened humans with extinction." She looked directly at the camera broadcasting to every human settlement in space. "We do not surrender to extinction. We eliminate it." The chamber fell silent as the weight of humanity's decisions settled over everyone present. Earth was not preparing to defend itself. It was preparing to ensure that the threat could never return. War Prime Zethrak had made a critical error in his calculations. He had given humanity time to prepare and unite. He had provided them with absolute proof that negotiation was impossible. Most importantly, he had shown them exactly what they were fighting against. The hegemony was about to discover that threatening humans with extinction was the worst strategic mistake they could have made. They were flying toward Earth expecting to find a frightened species ready to surrender. Instead, they would find humanity's survival instinct fully awakened and completely focused on a single objective: the complete elimination of the extinction threat. War Prime Zethrak stood on the command bridge of his flagship, reviewing reports from the human territories 6 months after first contact. The displays showed steady progress in the conquest of this new species. Human resistance had been stronger than expected, but still followed predictable patterns. "Status report," Zethrak commanded his tactical officer. "War Prime, we have secured 14 human colonies and are processing their biological resources. Human military forces continue to engage us with hit-and-run tactics but cause minimal damage. Their weapons remain inferior to ours." Zethrak nodded with satisfaction. This conquest was proceeding normally despite the humans' initial defiance. Their attacks were becoming less frequent as their forces were depleted. Soon they would accept the inevitable and surrender their remaining worlds. "Estimated completion of harvest?" Zethrak asked. 2 galactic cycles, War Prime. The human species shows typical resistance patterns for newly contacted civilizations. Complete victory is assured. Zethrak was catastrophically wrong about everything, Lieutenant Commander Sam. Mitchell floated in the darkness of space 3 light hours from Zethrak's position. His stealth ship, the UES Ghost, was completely invisible to hegemony sensors. Sam had been tracking the alien flagship for 3 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "All units report status," Sam whispered into his communication system. 12. Other stealth ships responded from positions around the hegemony fleet. Each vessel carried weapons designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in alien technology. Dr. Lisa Carter, now serving as the fleet's chief science officer, had spent months analyzing captured hegemony equipment. "Ghost Leader, this is Phantom. We have targeting locks on their communication array. Ghost Leader, this is Wraith. Engine section is in range. Ghost Leader, this is Shadow. Weapon systems targeted." Sam smiled grimly as his squadron prepared to demonstrate something the hegemony had never encountered. Human ships did not engage in honorable combat with superior enemies. They appeared from nowhere, struck with devastating precision, and disappeared before retaliation was possible. "All units execute on my mark. Remember, we are not here to destroy their ships. We are here to send a message." The human attack began. With surgical precision, invisible ships suddenly materialized around the hegemony fleet and launched weapons that seemed to turn the aliens' own technology against them. Communication arrays exploded in cascades of feedback. Engine systems shut down as their control circuits were overloaded by targeted electromagnetic pulses. The hegemony weapons that could dissolve matter found themselves unable to lock onto targets that vanished the moment they fired. Human ships used the aliens' massive size against them, darting between their hulls too quickly for the ponderous alien vessels to track. "What is happening?" Zethric roared as his flagship's lights flickered and systems failed around him. "Unknown. Attack pattern War Prime. The human ships appear to be using our own sensor frequencies against us. Our targeting systems cannot maintain locks." Sam's voice suddenly filled the hegemony bridge, speaking in their own language. Lisa's linguistic team had cracked their communication codes weeks ago. "War Prime Zethric, this is Lieutenant Commander Sam Mitchell of the Human Defense Force. You wanted to see what humans do when threatened with extinction. Today you get your first lesson." The human ships vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving the hegemony fleet crippled but not destroyed. Zethric stared at his disabled systems in shocked disbelief. No species had ever attacked them like this. No enemy had ever shown such precise knowledge of their weaknesses. On Earth, General Paul Newman stood in the massive command center that had been built beneath the Swiss mountains. Thousands of personnel coordinated the largest military operation in human history. Every screen showed progress reports from the conversion of human civilization into a war machine. "Production report," Paul ordered. "General, ship construction is ahead of schedule. We now have over 8,000 vessels in various stages of completion. Weapon development has produced 17 new systems specifically designed for anti-hegemony operations." Paul nodded as he reviewed the numbers. Earth's industrial capacity had been transformed beyond recognition. Factories that once produced civilian goods now created warships. Mining operations throughout the solar system fed the endless hunger for raw materials. Educational status report. "Sir, all children over the age of 12 are now receiving military strategy and xenobiology training alongside standard subjects. Adult populations have completed basic tactical awareness courses. Civilian infrastructure has been hardened against alien attack." Paul looked at the screens showing human children studying alien ship designs and learning about hegemony weaknesses. It would have seemed horrific 6 months ago. Now it was survival necessity. The most shocking change was how quickly humans adapted to total war. Every citizen understood that this was not a conflict between nations but a fight for species survival. Old divisions had disappeared as humanity united against the extinction threat. "Captain." Lisa Wang reviewed intelligence reports in her ready room aboard the UES Vengeance. Lisa commanded one of the new attack squadrons that had been hunting hegemony forces across 3 star systems. Her mission was simple: learn everything possible about alien capabilities and weaknesses. "Computer, display hegemony tactical analysis." The screen showed data that would have been impossible to gather through normal diplomatic contact. 6 months of combat had provided detailed information about every aspect of alien technology and strategy. Fascinating, Lisa said as she studied the patterns. They fight exactly the same way every time. Same formations, same tactics, same responses to attacks. They have never needed to adapt because they always faced inferior opponents. This was the critical weakness that human commanders had identified. The hegemony had conquered so many species so easily that they had never developed flexible tactics. They expected enemies to behave predictably and fold quickly when faced with superior firepower. Humans did neither. Commander Tony Baker led another type of mission that the hegemony could not understand. His team specialized in boarding disabled alien vessels and capturing their technology and personnel. Tony had personally participated in 7 such operations. Remember, Tony told his assault team as they prepared for another boarding action, we are not pirates or raiders. We are researchers conducting hostile intelligence gathering. Everything we learn saves human lives. The team moved through the damaged hegemony ship with practiced efficiency. They knew exactly where to find the most valuable information and how to extract it quickly. Alien computer systems that had never been designed for security were child's play for human technical specialists. Commander, we have their stellar charts, reported Sergeant Nancy Cole. This data shows the locations of all hegemony colonies and supply bases. Outstanding. What about their personnel files? Sir, we have complete biological data on their species, including psychological profiles. They are not as unified as they appear. Multiple subspecies with significant tensions between them. Tony smiled as he reviewed the intelligence hall. Each boarding operation provided crucial information that human strategic planners used to refine their anti-hegemony operations. The aliens had no idea how much humanity was learning from every encounter. Dr. Carter worked in her laboratory aboard the UES Defiance, the replacement for Morrison's destroyed ship. She studied captured hegemony technology with the focused intensity that had made her humanity's leading xenobiologist. Computer, run Simulation 17 on molecular disruptor technology. The screen showed the results of her latest attempt to understand and counter the aliens' most devastating weapons. After months of research, she had made a breakthrough that would change everything. The disruptor beam requires a specific frequency resonance to break molecular bonds. If we can generate an interference pattern, we can neutralize their primary advantage. Lisa's discovery meant that human ships would soon be immune to the weapon that had made the hegemony seem invincible. More importantly, the same technology could be reversed to create weapons that would use the aliens' own disruptor technology against them. War Prime. Zethric received reports that should have been impossible. Human attacks were increasing in frequency and effectiveness. More disturbing, the humans seemed to be learning from each encounter while the hegemony forces showed no adaptation to new tactics. How many ships have we lost this cycle? Zethric demanded. War Prime 47 vessels have been damaged or destroyed. Human forces appear to be specifically targeting our supply lines and communication networks. And their losses? Unknown. War Prime, human ships rarely engage in direct combat. When forced to fight, they use superior numbers and coordination. We estimate their total losses at less than 100 vessels. Zethric felt something he had never experienced in 3 decades of conquest, doubt. The humans were not behaving like any species the hegemony had ever encountered. They learned faster, adapted quicker, and showed no sign of accepting defeat despite being clearly outgunned. More troubling were reports from hegemony high command. Other human fleets were operating throughout the galaxy, liberating conquered worlds and destroying hegemony installations. The humans had somehow identified every major alien base. War Prime Zethric faced something unprecedented in hegemony history 1 year after first contact with humanity. His personal combat record showed 43 successful conquests across 17 star systems. Never had he encountered resistance lasting longer than 4 cycles. Never had he lost territory after gaining it. Never had he faced an enemy that grew stronger instead of weaker over time. The latest reports spread across his command table told a story that defied everything the hegemony understood about warfare. Human forces had not only stopped their expansion, but begun pushing them back across multiple fronts. 3 major hegemony bases had been completely destroyed. 7 occupied worlds had been liberated. Most disturbing of all, human fleets were now operating deep inside territory that had been hegemony space for generations. Status of the Kepler sector? Zethric asked his tactical officer. Lost war prime. Human forces eliminated all hegemony presence in the system. They destroyed every installation, every supply depot, every communication relay. The sector is completely sterilized of our forces. Zethric studied the tactical display showing human fleet movements. The humans did not fight like any species he had encountered. They did not occupy territory after conquering it. They did not negotiate for favorable terms. They simply eliminated every trace of hegemony presence and moved to the next target. What happened to the garrison on Kepler 442? Unknown war prime. The human fleet offered no terms for surrender. Our forces fought to the last ship. No survivors were recovered. Admiral Chris Parker stood on the bridge of the UES Liberation watching the final evacuation shuttles leave the planet below. Kepler 442 had been under hegemony control for 8 months. The aliens had harvested 60% of the planet's biological material before human forces arrived. All civilian populations have been evacuated, Admiral, reported his tactical officer. Medical teams confirm the survivors are in good condition despite their captivity. Chris nodded as he watched the hegemony processing facilities burning in the planet's atmosphere. The liberation of Kepler 442 had taken 3 days of intense fighting. The aliens had defended their positions with desperate fury, knowing that retreat meant abandoning vast stores of processed biological material. Begin final sterilization procedures. I want every piece of hegemony infrastructure reduced to atomic debris. The human fleet unleashed weapons specifically designed for infrastructure elimination. Orbital bombardment systems turned alien factories into craters. Molecular disruptor technology, reverse-engineered from captured hegemony weapons, dissolved their processing equipment at the subatomic level. Admiral long-range sensors detect 3 hegemony ships attempting to evacuate the system. Intercept and destroy them. No alien vessel leaves this system operational. Chris watched human squadrons move to eliminate the fleeing ships with clinical efficiency. The humans had learned that allowing hegemony forces to escape meant they would return with reinforcements. The solution was simple. Ensure no escape was possible. Dr. Jennifer Cole transmitted her field report from the planet's surface where she led a team documenting hegemony operations. Jennifer was a xenobiologist who had volunteered for the dangerous work of studying alien processing facilities. Admiral Parker, we have confirmed our worst fears about hegemony harvesting procedures. They process all organic material into a growth medium that feeds their technology. Trees, grass, bacteria, and sentient life forms are all treated as equivalent resources. Jennifer's team had found evidence of systematic extermination on a scale that dwarfed any atrocity in human history. Entire ecosystems had been stripped and processed with industrial efficiency. The hegemony did not conquer worlds, they consumed them completely. Doctor, what is your recommendation for preventing hegemony return to this system? Total denial. Admiral, the aliens view this planet as a resource site. They will return if they believe recovery is possible. I recommend removing their ability to land anywhere in the system. Chris understood what Jennifer was suggesting. The human fleet would need to establish permanent monitoring stations to ensure the hegemony never returned. More importantly, they would need to make the cost of return higher than any possible benefit. Understood, Doctor. Prepare your teams for immediate evacuation. We are implementing Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega had been developed by Human Strategic Command as the ultimate response to hegemony expansion. When deployed against the star system, it ensured that no alien force could ever establish a presence there again. The protocol had been used only twice before, both times with complete success. Captain Ben Davis received his new orders aboard the UES Retribution while patrolling the outer rim of human space. Ben commanded a hunter-killer group tasked with tracking down hegemony supply convoys. His mission parameters had changed dramatically over the past month. Navigation, set course for the Vega system. We have new operational priorities. Ben studied the classified orders that represented a fundamental shift in human strategy. Earth Command was no longer focusing on defense or even liberation of occupied territories. They were implementing systematic elimination of hegemony presence throughout the galaxy. Sir, the Vega system contains 3 hegemony colony worlds with a total population of approximately 2 billion aliens. Confirmed. Our mission is complete sterilization of their military and industrial capabilities. Civilian populations will be offered relocation to designated reservation worlds under human supervision. Ben's tactical officer looked uncomfortable with the new orders. Captain, these directives go far beyond anything we have attempted before. The hegemony has harvested dozens of species for biological material. They have turned entire worlds into processing facilities. Command has determined that their continued existence represents an unacceptable threat to all life in the galaxy. The bridge crew absorbed the implications of their new mission. Humanity was no longer fighting a defensive war against invasion. They were conducting systematic elimination of the hegemony's ability to threaten any species ever again. Colonel Maria Santos led a ground assault team preparing for the most ambitious operation in human military history. Maria commanded the elite forces tasked with the complete dismantling of hegemony military infrastructure across 3 star systems simultaneously. Team leaders report status, Maria ordered as her transport approached the target world. Alpha. Team ready. Primary objective is the main spaceport and orbital defense platforms. Beta team ready. Secondary objective is communication and command facilities. Gamma team ready. Tertiary objective is industrial complexes and resource processing. Centers. Maria reviewed the operation parameters one final time. The human assault would disable or destroy every piece of technology that could be used for space travel, interstellar communication, or military production. The hegemony colonies would be reduced to pre-industrial technology levels. Remember, this is not conquest or occupation. This is permanent neutralization of threat capability. We are not here to govern these aliens. We are here to ensure they can never again leave their home systems. Major Steve Johnson coordinated the largest logistical operation in human history from his command ship in deep space. Steve was responsible for supplying the dozens of human fleets operating throughout former hegemony territory. Supply status. Report, Steve requested from his logistics coordinators. Major, all hunter-killer groups are operating at full capacity. Manufacturing output has increased by 300% over pre-war levels. Resource extraction from captured hegemony facilities is meeting projected requirements. Steve studied the numbers with satisfaction. Humanity had transformed its entire economic system to support what military planners called the final solution to the hegemony problem. Every captured alien facility was stripped of useful technology and resources. Every liberated world became a supply base for further operations. What is the status of hegemony resistance? Sir, organized resistance has collapsed in 12 sectors. Remaining hegemony forces appear to be retreating toward their home system. Intelligence suggests they are preparing for a final defensive action. Steve nodded grimly. The hegemony high command had finally realized what they were facing. This was not a war for territory or resources. This was systematic elimination of their species' ability to pose a threat to galactic life. They could surrender and accept permanent technological regression, or they could fight and face complete destruction. War Prime Zethric received reports that confirmed his worst fears. Human fleets were not just defeating hegemony forces, they were implementing something the aliens had never encountered. Complete strategic denial. Worlds that fell to human attack were left completely unable to support hegemony operations. How many systems have we lost this cycle? War Prime, 17 systems are now under human control. But the humans are not occupying them, they are sterilizing them of our presence and then leaving monitoring stations. Casualties? Unknown War Prime. Human forces do not take prisoners or leave survivors who could provide intelligence. Our forces either retreat successfully or are completely eliminated. Zethric felt the weight of strategic failure crushing down on him. The hegemony had ruled 17 star systems through superior technology and ruthless efficiency. Now they faced an enemy that had studied their weakness. War Prime Zethric transmitted his final message to the human fleet 2 years after making the worst decision in hegemony history. His voice carried the desperation of a species facing extinction as he offered unconditional surrender to Admiral Kate Sullivan. Human Admiral, the hegemony formally requests immediate cessation of hostilities. We offer complete surrender and will accept any terms you deem appropriate for ending this conflict. Admiral Sullivan's response was broadcast across the galaxy. From her flagship above Earth, her words would be remembered by every spacefaring species as the moment when humanity's true nature was revealed to the universe. War Prime Zethric, we do not accept surrenders from extinction-level threats, we neutralize them. The transmission ended, leaving Zethric to contemplate the magnitude of his species' miscalculation. The hegemony had threatened humanity with extinction, expecting quick capitulation or brief resistance. Instead, they had awakened something that would not stop until the threat was permanently eliminated. Admiral Jack Turner commanded the largest military force in human history as it approached the hegemony home system. Over 10,000 ships of every class and configuration filled space around. Hegemony Prime, the planet's 8 billion inhabitants, watched in terror as humanity prepared to implement the final solution to the alien threat. All fleet commanders report status, Jack ordered from the bridge of his command ship. Admiral, all siege groups are in position. Orbital bombardment platforms have target locks on every military installation. Ground assault forces are ready for planetary insertion. Jack studied the tactical displays showing the scope of the operation. Humanity had spent 2 years preparing for this moment. Every weapon system, every strategic doctrine, every piece of captured alien technology had been focused on ensuring the hegemony could never again threaten any species with extinction. Communications, transmit final terms to the planetary government. The message that appeared on every screen across Hegemony Prime was delivered in their own language by human negotiators who had studied alien psychology for months. People of the hegemony, this is Admiral Jack Turner of the Human Defense Force. Your government threatened our species with extinction and harvested dozens of other civilizations for biological resources. These actions represent crimes against all life in the galaxy. The transmission continued with terms that would have seemed impossible 2 years earlier. The human government offers your species survival under the following conditions: complete technological regression to pre-spaceflight levels, dismantling of all industrial capacity for weapons or ship production, permanent human monitoring of your world for the next 1,000 years. These terms are not negotiable. Supreme Leader Kethrix responded from the planetary capital with the arrogance that had defined hegemony policy for centuries. Human Admiral, the hegemony rejects your demands. We will not accept reduction to primitive status by an inferior species. If you wish to destroy us, you will pay a price in blood that your soft mammalian society cannot afford. Jack Turner had expected this response. Human psychological analysts had predicted that hegemony leadership would choose destruction over submission. The aliens could not accept that their victims had become their conquerors. Very well. All units implement Eradication protocol. Target every piece of technology that could support interstellar travel or military operations. Spare civilian populations, but eliminate their capacity for spaceflight permanently. The bombardment that followed redefined the concept of total war. Human ships unleashed weapons specifically designed to destroy alien technology while leaving organic life intact. Spaceports vanished in molecular disruptor beams. Manufacturing facilities dissolved as their atomic bonds were severed. Communication arrays that had coordinated a galactic empire were reduced to scattered atoms. Captain Lavra Bell led one of the siege groups surrounding the planet's largest moon where the hegemony maintained their primary military academy. Lavra had volunteered for this assignment because it would determine whether any young aliens would be trained for future military operations. "Target assessment complete, Captain," reported her tactical officer. The facility trains approximately 50,000 military cadets annually and contains advanced weapons research laboratories. Lavra looked at the alien installation through her ship's sensors. Inside were young hegemony citizens learning the military doctrines that had enslaved dozens of species. The academy represented the future generation of alien conquerors. Commence bombardment. Ensure total destruction of all facilities and equipment. Evacuate personnel to the planet's surface. The Hegemony Military Academy disappeared in a series of precise explosions that left no structure larger than a few atoms. Thousands of years of military tradition and tactical knowledge were erased in minutes by weapons that turned matter into energy. Colonel Ashley Green commanded the ground forces responsible for ensuring that every piece of hegemony technology was either destroyed or confiscated. Ashley's teams moved through alien cities with the systematic efficiency that had made human operations so devastatingly effective throughout the war. "All teams report status," Ashley ordered as her forces worked their way through the planetary capital. "Team Alpha has secured the government district. All communication equipment and computer systems are being destroyed or removed. Team Beta has reached the transportation network. All vehicles capable of atmospheric flight are being disabled. Team Gamma has captured the industrial centers. Manufacturing equipment for electronics or machinery is being systematically dismantled." Ashley watched her soldiers work with the precision of a surgical operation. They were not here to conquer or occupy the hegemony homeworld. They were here to ensure that the aliens could never again develop the technology needed for interstellar travel or military conquest. Dr. Jennifer Cole documented the final phase of humanity's response to the extinction threat. Jennifer had studied hegemony society throughout the war and understood better than most what the aliens were experiencing as their civilization was systematically dismantled. Personal log, Dr. Jennifer Cole, final day of hegemony reduction operations. Human forces have successfully eliminated all technology above early industrial levels from this world. The aliens retained basic manufacturing for civilian needs, but nothing that could support military operations or space travel. Jennifer paused her recording to watch hegemony civilians trying to understand what had happened to their society. Yesterday they had been citizens of a galactic empire. Today they were inhabitants of a single world under human supervision. The psychological impact on the hegemony population appears to be severe but manageable. They are struggling to comprehend how quickly their technological civilization has been dismantled. Most seem to believe this is a temporary setback rather than permanent change. She continued her observations while human technical teams completed their work. The aliens still do not understand that humans do not conquer enemies, we solve problems. The hegemony represented an extinction-level threat to all galactic life. Humans have solved that problem by ensuring it cannot recur. Admiral Sullivan made the final announcement from her command ship orbiting the former hegemony homeworld. Her words were broadcast to every inhabited system in the galaxy as humanity's message to any future species that might consider threatening extinction. "This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the United Earth Defense Force addressing all civilizations in the galaxy. The hegemony has been permanently neutralized as a threat to galactic life. Their technology has been reduced to pre-space flight levels. Their world will remain under human monitoring to ensure they cannot again develop the capability for interstellar conquest." The transmission continued with words that would echo across space for generations. The hegemony offered humanity two choices: surrender and extinction, or resistance and extinction. They discovered that humans respond to extinction threats with a third option: The complete elimination of the threatening force. Sullivan's final words established humanity's position in the galactic community. We offered the hegemony every opportunity for peaceful coexistence. When they chose genocide over diplomacy, humans did not respond with anger or revenge. We responded with engineering-level problem-solving applied to the threat of extinction. 5 years after the end of the war, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the monitoring station orbiting the former hegemony homeworld. Jake had survived the destruction of his original ship and lived to see humanity's complete victory over the extinction threat. Status report on planetary monitoring, Jake requested from his technical staff. Captain, the hegemony population has stabilized at approximately 7.9 billion individuals. They have adapted to pre-industrial technology levels and show no signs of attempting to develop advanced manufacturing. Jake nodded as he reviewed the data. The aliens had learned to live within the technological restrictions imposed by human oversight. A few had attempted to recreate spaceflight capabilities but had been quickly detected and stopped. Any signs of organized resistance or military activity? No, sir. The population appears to have accepted their situation. Several hegemony leaders have actually expressed gratitude for being allowed to survive after threatening galactic extinction.